Hello everybody and welcome to the chaos that is happening behind the screens as usual. I mean, hey, it wouldn't be a show if it wasn't happening, right? So, I've got to look at the right camera. I'm just going to move that camera out of the way. So as you can see, we have a few more people joining us this evening. And I see some people in chat already. You shouldn't say that about Raj. Wow. Okay. So there you are. There you are. Everyone's like, wow, you know, it's a big day for Raj. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Raj has got a definite big day happening. So yes, we've got some new players that have joined our stable, and we did a session 0 last week, which happened. There were things that happened. It was fun, as one can expect. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves and their character, who they will be playing. And then you can decide if you like them or not. And if you don't like them, just say, no, fired. And then, you know, they'll go away and you'll only hurt their feelings for a decade or so. So it's fine. That's what therapists are for. Or you could be nice and just listen attentively. And I'm sure you're going to be nice. I'm sure you're going to be nice. Inky Design, thank you. Yes, watch it tomorrow. You know where it will be. It will be on YouTube, of course. If you are joining us from Twitch, which most of you seem to be, these videos are available on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Game Master Live, or Great GM Live, I should say, Great GM Live, and you can find all of them there. So if you have missed previous episodes, you can go and check them out. So yes, let's kick it off. So starting with the first person that I can see on my screen, and that is, let's say, Mirren. Introduce yourself. Who are you and what are you? And yeah, let us know who you are.
I am called Mirren from Mesopolis. I am a ranger who has been trained as a cartographer, and I am in good standing with the Cartographers Guild. After my apprenticeship was done, I decided to go traveling, and I've traveled mostly on land caravans in order to see the world and to map it. My goals are to have fun and explore, and to use my skill to help the party and the world.
There you go. Fantastic. My microphone, maybe it's my microphone that was making that noise. Sorry, folks. Thank you, Mirren. So there we go. Exploring the world, Cartographer. Done some cool maps already. Just let me know. We tried to set up audio, but we were having an audio difficulty beforehand. So let us know in the chat below what it's like. I know my mic has been all over the place. It looks a bit soft to me now. If I'm being absolutely honest, this should be a little bit more on the norm. Okay, so that was Mirren. Next up, let's go with Shifty.
Hello, I'm Andy, and I play a little seabold from a race from Guy's great complete guide to nautical campaigns, and I'm also a druid. So I can turn into lots of useful and unuseful things. And I'm on a pilgrimage to get something of value for my tribe, which started off on somewhat the wrong foot. There was explosions and weird stuff happening.
May or may not
more
be
on that later.
Yes, he may or may not be banned from a certain city. And speaking of being banned from certain cities, your co-accomplice is none other than Deimos.
Hi, I'm Sammy Crifiddle. I'm playing Deimos, who is a Goliath barbarian with the sailor background. He's a good friend of Shifty. Takes care of him.
Well, yes, in terms of determining his future as a convict. Or something like that.
I'll keep him safe.
Keep him safe. There you go. All right. Yes, Mirren.
I forgot to say that I am a wood elf, and I have silver blonde hair and violet eyes. I'm kind of striking.
There you go. There you go. There you go. And then, of course, we have Raj with us. How are you, Raj?
Greetings. Raj is doing very good tonight.
That's because Roger's chances of survival have increased by 3 other bodies. I mean, people.
Be an effective meat shield, I promise.
There we are. There we are. Right. Look at Laura Bones. Laura Bones, I have to say thank you. I miss talking to you, Laura Bones. I do. Laura and I were doing a writing thing on the Discord channel. If you're not part of the Discord channel, discord.gg/greatgm. And there's a writer's support group there. And it's not for writing plots or campaigns or adventures. It's just for creative writing. And the stuff that's coming out of there is absolutely amazing. I had to drop out of that race because of a certain book that I was working on. Would you guys be awfully, awfully, awfully upset if I showed you the book, the next book? We got the proof from the printers this morning.
Show it.
Oh, please.
I wish to see.
Yeah.
Please.
So this is still a proof. Martin might kill me, but I have to say. So, you know, when you release your own book, there is always that moment of pride at having accomplished something or having got to something. This is not the final version. This is just a mock-up to see whether the final version will actually work or not. But when you actually have a physical copy in your hands, there's a little bit of happiness that goes through your life. So this is the new book. Look at that cover. Isn't that cover spanky? All designed by Martin. And this is our Battle Maps book. This is something that we came up with. It's in conjunction with Dungeon Fog. Let me find you a map. That's pretty cool. Oh, this is a nice map. This is a nice map. So the whole thing, all right, it lays flat, but the maps fold out. So you can lay them out flat. So you have a battle map, basically. I don't have much of a screen to show them off on, but you have a flat battle map that you can play on. You can write on them. You can draw your own tokens and stuff. And then when you're done, you just fold it back into your book and you put it back on your bookshelf. So it's really slick, very straightforward to use. We've got,
Ingenious.
well, it folds out to 4 on some of them. Beautiful maps. It's all approved by Dungeon Fog, of course, as well. These are Dungeon Fog maps. So the one side is blank, and you can draw your own maps on it. Anyway, Martin put this whole thing together over the last month, and it's been absolutely amazing. But more on that later on. Sorry, I just like to show these things. So there we are. Thank you. Sorry for and thank you for indulging me. I appreciate that. Okay, we're not here to talk about all that kind of stuff. That's for Saturday. The new show's on Saturday, by the way, if you don't know that. We are here to roleplay, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing. So, of course, I have changed the layout, and hopefully it meets with everyone's approval in terms of a new sort of look and feel. And so we can start to roleplay. Everybody ready? Got your dice?
Ready.
Okay. We sink down into the space. Actually, let me just let's take us there right now. As a matter of fact, why not? I need to speak to World Anvil about this. Give me a second here. As we're about to sink, we have been sunk. Right. Let me show you the new layout as well for the screen. We sink down now into that dusty world of Utherios, the Utherian hegemony. Our party has found its way, Raj in particular, with Alexei, have left Piketon and the Circle of Death and journeyed south, returning to Pythios. Is that correct, Raj?
Yes, we need to go back to the Circle of Death to report on our findings there in Piketon.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you are making your way back to Pythios. All is quiet upon the roads in comparison to your last journey. The trees seem... Maybe you're uncertain, but the trees seem a little bit more leering, their branches stabbing out towards the sky, the clouds, and in some cases even towards the ground and passers-by. And the faces that the knots on the great big trunks seem a little bit more angry than usual. There's a dark, dark cloud that hangs out over the city of Pythios, and ships are in the harbour aplenty. There are plenty of ships in the harbour of Pythios. And you have arrived, eventually, via the area known as Carter's Crown, which is the small farming entrance here. Let me open it up. So you've come in through those farmlands, in through Carter's Crown. Where are you heading?
What time of day is it?
It's a good question. It's currently the 6th bell, so it's dusk.
All right. Let's go right to the Circle of Death temple, and since I've been gone for so long, immediately report on my findings.
All right, so you are heading towards the Circle of Death. Meanwhile, on a merchant ship that has just pulled into harbour, several castaways, or survivors perhaps might be the more appropriate term. Survivors have landed and are disembarking from the ship that came to their rescue after their own ship sunk mysteriously. There are reports from sailors that there were sharks, bears, and all manner of beasts that caused the ship to sink. But generally speaking, all of them agree it was the gigantic tentacle creature that certainly was responsible for it. So the three of you, Deimos, Shifty, and Mirren, find yourselves on the side of the dock. Senator Byros has already disembarked with the map that you so provided him, and all is relatively quiet. What are the three of you doing?
Those people on the dock that we saw when we were coming in,
That's right.
what are they doing now?
Every now and again, one of them breaks away and joins in with a group of sailors that are disembarking from the ship. But otherwise, there's still a few of them loitering around, watching as the merchant ship starts her unloading process.
I'll ask the navigator to give me directions to the guild hall.
Oh, yeah. You want to go to the guild hall? Yeah, no problem. Well, guild hall is, you just follow that road there, and then you follow that road there, and it's, it's out near Thenistown, you know, that sort of area. In the nice big courtyard, can't miss it, overlooking the harbour. So he gives you directions to the Cartographer's Guild.
Now, am I able to follow them? Understand them?
I'm going to ask you to give me either a wisdom check or a survival check.
Okay, let's see. Survival. That's a 10.
10. You start wandering the streets. What is Shifty and Deimos doing?
Go ahead.
I'm looking after Mirren and pretty wide-eyed because it's my first town without bits and pieces of whale on all over the place, and no angry mobs or anything like that. So I look at it wide-eyed. Wow, this place is bustling. Where's she going? And I point after Mirren.
I'm not sure. Probably somewhere with her people. Should we tend to the wounded? I want to get them off the boat.
You look back at the wounded, and they're either being formed into a line by the ship's surgeon, or are... Well, there's some whacking sounds coming from the galley area for those that didn't necessarily make it. Possibly. But nonetheless, there is a ship surgeon is attending to them, so you don't have to concern yourselves with that too much.
Oh, they'll be fine. Let's go see the city.
Okay.
Pythios is about 4 times the size of Delphini, so it is massive in scale in comparison. It really is a huge space. Are you just wandering into town?
I'm loosely and slowly following Mirren, but since my legs are somewhat shorter than hers, she's way faster than me, and I'm
I'll pop up on my shoulder.
Oh, I see her. Left, slightly to the left,
Okay.
straight ahead, and what is this?
Okay, so are you actively trying to follow Murin, or are you sort of following her? What are the chances?
It depends on the legs. Of
Good follow her. I'm following her. It's fine.
All right, you're following, not a problem at all, as you start to make your way towards Murin. I would like all 4 of you, please, to make perception checks. So everybody make a perception check for me, if you please.
Question.
Yes.
Since I sit on Demus's
yes, you have
shoulders,
advantage.
I wanted to ask, do I have to dodge signs every now and then?
Signs, clothing. Yeah, because Demos is pretty tall.
Yeah, he's 6'8".
Yeah, absolutely. So that puts you at what, like 6'9"?
I'm the biggest seabold in the
Yeah,
world.
it puts you at about 7'8". So yeah, absolutely. There's lines, there's signposts, there's flower boxes from those who are desperate to try and bring some kind of nature into the world. But yeah, so
Also,
perception.
I rolled a natural 1, so whatever shift he's going to do, it's going to be.
Absolutely. You're pushing your way through crowds. There are lots of people in Pythios, and it's dusk, so everyone is either finishing work or they're starting the second shifts and that sort of things. So that's definitely happening. Raj, what was your perception?
19.
19. All right, perfect. Murin, did you get a perception check, please?
12.
12. Okay. And Shifty?
16.
16. Okay. Raj, you become aware that there are 2 characters who are following you discreetly, and after a few moments of observation, you realize that they're not... It doesn't look like they are intending anything malicious. It does look like they are just following you, however.
What do they look like?
One is a human, definitely, although probably hasn't seen a bath in about a year or so. Very, very raggedly dressed. You would guess that they could pass as homeless quite easily. The other one is slightly better dressed, an old tunic of looks like it could be in red and black stripes once, so possibly fired from the employment of a noble and just never bothered to hand back the uniform. Is probably half-elf. There's a certain daintiness to the features, but not that sharp, angular feature of the elf. They appear to be following you.
I'll keep on the direction that I'm headed. I'll pay attention to them following me, but I want to complete my mission.
Absolutely. All right. Shifty, what was your perception again, please? Let me know.
16.
16. You guys are being followed by also 2 individuals. One is a Cathar, slinking low and carefully, stopping every now and again to look at something along those lines. But you notice them because you're probably spinning around in all different directions, taking in all the different views. And you just see this tabaxi repeatedly behind you. Following along the tabaxi it looks like a half-orc. It's big, green and ugly, although that doesn't necessarily narrow it down. But yeah, they both seem to be casually following the 2 of you, which is very easy considering that you are literally head and shoulders above the crowd.
I tap on Demus's shoulder and point over my shoulder, and I whisper to him, look back, there's a middling between a human and a cat, and it looks so fluffy.
Yeah, they're called Tabaxi. Good folk.
Yeah, that one's apparently following us because it's taking the same turns as you have and as Mirren has. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Here, hold on. I'll put him on one of those flower signs,
All right.
and I'll turn around and draw my great axe.
Hey, what the?
There is an instant circle.
From there.
Oh, wow. Okay, natural 20 from me. That's great. That's brilliant. That's lovely. Look at that. Here I was thinking we don't need any maps tonight. Huh. Okay, so as you draw your great axe, the crowd just opens out in all different directions, creating this large circle around you. And the tabaxi and the half-orc are temporarily deer in headlights type of thing. Mirren, the crowd is rushing past you, and there's mumblings and grumblings, and it's enough possibly to cause you to turn around.
I'll look.
You see your two sailing companions. One of them is hanging on the side of a sign on the side of a building. The other is holding a great axe and glaring at some individuals.
I'm thinking, not really my problem.
Not myself.
I'll stop someone who isn't hurrying by and say, could you direct me to the guild hall, please?
A rather petite young woman looks at you. She looks back at the scene that's happening. She looks at you. Yes. You continue down that main street, and when you get to the five-sided quad, turn left. Then you can't miss it.
Thank you. And I'll just turn back and stand at my distance and just watch.
Just watch what happens. I like that. I like that. All right. Yes. Not a problem. So, Raj, are you doing anything?
Just still heading towards the temple.
All right. You arrive at the temple, so does your shadow, although they loiter on the outside. And you are shown in. They recognize who you are. Your temple, by the way, for those keeping track, is all the way down here. There's currently an incident taking place round about next to the one here. A madman and his pet lizard are causing trouble in downtown Pythios. But that's okay. You don't know about that yet. So yes, you enter into the temple. They show you through to Lord Demlock, I believe his name was.
Yep, that sounds right.
He looks at you. You have word.
Yes, the priestess was because of the problem. She was not missing. She had gone rotten, you could say. She was killing her own people. But I was able to just barely escape with my life. Unfortunately, I was unable to do much more than that. But I wanted to bring you the news. Unfortunately, the artifact... Wait a minute, did I grab the artifact and run last time?
You didn't get the artifact, afraid.
Oh no, okay.
There was the albino griffin.
Ah, that's right. Okay. Yes, so there was... That's right. There was... She was giving the artifact to another figure riding an albino griffin who seemed to recognize me. But I was overwhelmed and had to flee for my life.
I see. And you don't know who this person was that was receiving the artifact?
They were dressed in the clothing of a government official here in Pythios, but I would not know the person. I have not lived in your city for very long.
No, that's understandable. Right. Well, obviously it's very disappointing that we couldn't get the artifact back. But I don't hold that against you. I can hardly expect you to fly. And if the High Priestess had turned, well, no one could have expected that either. Well, that's grave news for the Acolytes. It's a territory to the north, where are we now? Northeast of us, I think that is. Controlled primarily by the Centaurs. She was very highly regarded in amongst their ranks. I see. Well, nonetheless, Raj, there is little that we can do about it now. We cannot track a flying griffin through the air, so I suppose the artifact has gone. Your duty is done, and I thank you for your perseverance in this matter. It has taken you quite some time, so I will recompense you for whatever expenses you may have incurred, of course.
All right, that will be satisfactory. I'm sorry I could not do more for you.
It is what it is. We shall adapt and we shall move on. Speaking of moving on, what are your next steps? Will you remain in Pythios for a while?
I will go back to see how the people from my country proceeded in helping me to secure the gems for my father.
Oh, yes.
But other than that, we will see how that is going.
Very good. Right, well, what do I owe you?
Let me see.
All right, whilst you calculate that, the streets are virtually empty, except for lots of people placing bets. You can actually even hear someone in the crowd shout, I got 5 gold on whatever that thing is with the axe. 5 gold on that one. Shouting out from the group. And immediately then someone's like, nah, 10 silver on the orc. And then it bounces around backwards and forwards. Someone then says, shouldn't we call the watch? And of course, at that point, it's shh, no. Everyone hushes and quietens down.
It's the hall monitor guy. No one likes him.
No. The orc and the tabaxi look at you, Deimos. Yeah, right, says the orc as he sort of looks in your general direction, realizing that all eyes are on him.
We ain't a problem you want, buddy.
Deimos, could you tune it down a little bit and perhaps get me down from here? Maybe
sorry,
they just want to talk.
There you go.
Thank you. So maybe they just want to talk. I mean, we've saved some people from a kraken, and maybe they just want autographs. Autographs?
I'm sure, I guess. I doubt it. What do you two want?
The orc gains a little bit of courage, and he walks forward with his hand resting on this fairly large bastard sword. Nothing, really. Word says that you lot know how to handle yourselves in a little bit of a fight.
It's in character, you're just waiting to see what he's gonna do.
Yeah.
Well, we've always got folk in need of a little bit of a fight. If you take my meaning.
I'm no mercenary, I work as a sailor. And besides, I'm not the one you have to worry about. I was protecting you from him.
Everybody looks down at the little blue sea bolt. How tall are you?
80 centimeters. I'll just give me a second.
For us Americans, 2'8".
That's 2 foot. That's right.
2'9".
There we go.
2'9", sorry. Literally 6 feet taller. Or no, 4 feet taller. I know math.
They all look at the little sea bolt. Spellcaster?
You would like to know that, wouldn't you?
Oh, yes, that's why I asked.
I kind of lift him up a little bit so he's a little closer to eye level with him so he can talk better. We're going to go full Master Blaster at some point.
Oh, yeah. The Tabaxi steps forward. Gentlemen, there is no need for antagonism or anything along these lines. I merely represent an individual who appreciates talent in the arena of combat. Non-lethal, perfectly legal combat, by the way, he says to everybody else around him. If you are finding yourself unemployed, our employer would seek to gain your services. That is all we are presenting.
I don't mind a fight, but what do you think, Shifty?
We could try it. Do you have some sort of business parchment or something like that?
You merely need to join us at the tavern. We'll buy a drink for you on the house, of course.
Yeah, I'll hold on the drink, but all right. You walk forward first.
What does it mean when someone like these people wants to spend a drink?
It's they use alcohol to make you more likely to say yes.
That is not true. We use alcohol to cement our friendship. Then we get you to sign the deal.
Exactly. Yeah.
He steps forward, his hands opened on either side, palms upwards. See, I have nothing to hide.
Maybe if we ask Mirren, maybe she wants to join us too. Mirren is that beautiful half elf back there.
Oh, she's the map maker one, right?
Yeah, the one with the bow.
Your companion can draw maps?
Maybe.
Beautiful ones. Oh, yeah, right. Maybe.
Mirren, what are you doing?
Well, as soon as I heard that this was a solicitation for some kind of gladiatorial contest, I just shrug my shoulders, and I'm going to the guild house, so they don't see me.
All right, so you're trying to make your way through the crowd, away from whatever is going on.
It's their business. That's not what I'm interested in.
That's all right. Okay, so you're pushing your way through the crowd. Everyone's sort of starting to move away now. They're losing interest simply because no one's died yet. And that's very unfortunate as far as they're concerned. They were hoping for something, anything. Instead, they didn't get it. So they're starting to break up as it is. The Tabaxi looks, I don't see your friend. But if you are interested in putting your talents to good use, let me know, huh?
Is there some place where we can find you?
Yes. If you head back to the docks, there is a tavern by the name of the Sailor's Arms. You can't miss it.
Oh, you barely know me. I can.
Everyone knows the Sailor's Arms. We look forward to seeing you, should you decide to join us.
Would you mind us having a bit more looks around in the city? I mean, it's the first time I see a city this big and this not burning.
The Tabaxi gives you this look of, are you joking? Are you being truthful? He doesn't really know how to take that, so he just nods, but of course. A word of warning. There has been a great many sailors that have been pitched up upon our shores recently. There is not a lot of work going for those who have very little training in the academic pursuits or are not born to royalty. And a lot of our fellow sailors have turned to petty crime to pay for their existence, if you take my meaning.
I'm a man of letters.
What I'm saying is there are lots of pickpockets and thieves on the streets. Be wary, friends.
Usually I'm way too high up for them.
He bows and leaves you to your own devices.
One more question.
Yes?
You are very fluffy. Do I get to pet you?
No.
I'll just kind of pick him out. You don't ask that, man. You don't ask that of people.
Why?
He kind of hisses at you, turns and walks away as his half-orc sort of falls in line behind him. Mirren, you arrive at the Cartographer's Guild. It is an impressively large triple-story building. There are columns from all over the world that have been brought here to symbolize the extent to which the cartographers go in mapping out the world around everybody.
Okay, I check in at the desk.
Oh yes, you came in on that ship, didn't you? That's right.
I came in on a ship, not the original ship that I started on, but yes, I came in on a ship. So I want accommodations. Here's my 5 gold piece monthly dues if I haven't paid them already this month. Just want to make sure. And an extra 20 gold. I had a commission, so I'm giving that to the guild also. And I'd like a room. I don't know how long, a bath, then a meal, and then I need to write a couple letters, and that's about it. And then I'm looking for, a commission, and I'll check the caravan schedule to see where people are going.
Right. Well, you've obviously got that all planned out. The commission on a work, did you only charge 20 gold for the map?
No.
You have deducted appropriately. Excellent. Good. I just wanted to make sure you were aware. Very well. Room, of course, will be provided. That's not a problem, as will accommodation and meals. Your 5 gold will see you through for the month. No fear here. We take care of our own. With regards to convoys and the like, I'm afraid the shipping seems to have been disrupted rather badly. So no ships are taking on anyone.
Oh yeah, I'm mostly for land caravans, but
Right you are. Well, those seem to have been on an increase since the ships can't seem to make any headway.
oh, that's good.
Well,
Okay.
depending. If you're a ship's captain, it's not particularly good. Anyway, I'll show you through to your rooms. So he starts to take you into the back of the Cartographer's Guild, into very, very modest apartments.
And incidentally, I check my belt pouch.
Aha! Thankfully, or luckily, your belt pouch is still intact.
Oh, good. Okay. Forgot about that.
Raj, you...
Yes, my good sir. We had agreed upon 30 gold pieces for me completing this mission for you. And I was wondering if you could also help me with another small task. On my way in here, I was followed by a couple of gentlemen, I believe. I would like to find out their purpose, but I require your assistance. I was thinking that I could disguise myself as an acolyte of your temple, tell them that you are looking for them and bring them to you. And then you could help me to ask them their purpose in following the Tabaxi lad.
Absolutely. he calls over his shoulder, Orvin, Orvin, and this little monk comes rushing in. We can get robes for our friend here, and then there's two gentlemen. What did you say they look like?
One was human, one was half-elven. They were not. One was better dressed. One could have been a beggar, but they were traveling together.
So many beggars these days. Right, Orvin, go outside to find those two individuals and bring them in. Tell them that they're going to get money or food or something. Whatever it takes, just get them here. He nods. He disappears. A few moments later, he comes scurrying in with the two that were following you. You have donned your cowl. Are you in the same room?
Yeah, and I've also cast Disguise Self on myself to look like and just a random acolyte inside the temple.
Sure thing. Okay, they step in. The abbot looks at them, the high priest. He says, why were you following a tabaxi? And the two of them, we were told we were going to get food. Yes, says the abbot. Give me your answer and I'll give you food. So the half-elf looks at you, looks somewhere else, obviously looking for the tabaxi. Well, if we're to be absolutely honest, our boss wants to see him. He's got a bit of a score to settle, if you know what I mean. Last time that cat was here, he caused one of our men to not necessarily get sprung from a certain jail convoy. And that's not good business, is it? So the boss wants to see him, but we're supposed to just follow him, see where he goes, finds out what he's doing. It's nothing to be personal to you, Abbott. I mean, it's just, it's just business as usual. We're not going to do anything. It's not us who's going to kill him. I mean, speak to him. I see, says the abbot. The abbot looks at you. Brother Higher. Oh, what do you think the scriptures say on men of such action?
The scriptures say that they will meet a terrible end for shifty dealings.
Yeah, well, we're just following the tabaxi. It's not like we mean him in any harm. Much.
That is just what the scriptures say. It may not mean anything.
Right. Well, you two better stay here. We'll get food and water for you and probably a bath as well. I'm going to speak with our brother more on the interpretations. He leads you into a small antechamber. What do you want to do with these two?
I am aware of what they are speaking of. I am not too concerned at the moment. I will maintain my disguise and go to check on my friend who has been waiting for me in town. Thank you so much, my dear Abbot. If you ever require my services in the future, please do not hesitate to look for me.
You're not concerned about this individual who wants your hide?
I am always concerned, but I also have my own contacts in the city, which I will find and look for protection.
Well, fair enough. Fair enough. I can understand that. He shows you an alternative route out of the temple.
Okay.
Do you keep your disguise up?
Yeah, I can keep it for up to an hour.
Okay.
And I'm going to keep it up while I head for the tabaxi who was helping me to secure the gems.
Yes, Diasha. Okay, so that's where you are. That's where you are heading. Deja and Kesri. So that's where you're going. Back to the two of you. We've got the Seabold and the Goliath. You have lost track of Murin. who seem to slip away during your discussions.
You say which way she went?
No, not really, because you put me on that post in the wrong way. Maybe we ask around. I mean, how many Quantomiphys's guilds are there?
Cartographers Guild. They make maps.
Are you sure it's not Quantomiphys's?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Have you ever heard of them? They get their powers from putting cats and vials of poison into boxes. I don't know how exactly it works.
I don't think it works like that, though.
Are you sure?
Not 100%, but willing to bet.
Nah, I'm not gonna take that bet. So, are we gonna ask, or are we gonna... we got a bit of shinies from that important guy on the ship. What do you do with those shinies?
Oh, gold, you can trade them for stuff. Goods and services. Yeah, let's get you a hat. I think you'd like a little hat.
Why hat?
Because I think it would look adorable.
I'm not adorable.
No, the hat is adorable.
You get a hat.
I have a hat.
And so the two continue their conversation as they wander around downtown Pythios, shopping.
We'll look at the Cartographers Guild. We'll look them up.
All right, but you're also looking for adorable hats.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Mirren, you are shown into a small room that's fairly comfortable and it's serviceable, clean as well. And the owner informs, your guide, dinner is served in the common rooms in about 2 hours or so, give or take. It lasts for 2 hours and then they usually close up. You've asked for writing equipment. Well, obviously there's a desk, and he points you to a very well-appointed desk. There's parchment, there's inks, and that sort of thing. Anything that you use is simply added to a running total at the end of the month. It's due.
Is the commissary, the supply store still open?
You'll have to hit those in the morning, I'm afraid. Commissaire's
Okay.
a little bit old, and so he usually goes home early. What were you needing specifically?
Oh, I just want to replenish some of my supplies, that's all.
Well, the desk should have all the inks and things that you might need. But
My traveling
understood,
tools.
understood. Yes, the commissaire will be open in the morning. You can make your inquiries then.
Okay. Well, thank you. So now I take a bath, have someone prestidigitate my clothes, or clean them or whatever.
Yeah,
And
I think
then,
that's more likely. Yep.
And then I sit down to write my letters. One is going to my brother Bryn, and the other one is going to Master Llewellyn, my teacher.
Absolutely. So you're starting to
And-
write.
Missopolis.
Correct. Okay. As you are starting to write the second page of your second letter to your master, there is a very polite knock at the door.
Come.
The reception clerk walks in. Awfully sorry to bother you, but there's some city guard here who want to have a word.
Okay. I'll be right down.
You haven't committed any crime, have you?
No, I just walked through the city. I mean, if that's a crime, I guess.
I guess there's going to be a lot of arrests this evening. Nonetheless, I'll show you back. So he walks you back to the main hall where there are two city guard. You notice that these are not possibly the regular patrol guards. Their uniforms are very clean and very proper. And they look as if they definitely are trying to impress with their uniform rather than anything else. The one steps forward. Are you the cartographer from that... I forget the name of the ship that you guys were rescued on. I don't think I've actually even gave that to you.
No, you didn't.
I didn't, yes. All right, so the name of the ship that you were on when you were rescued was the Catan. That was the merchant's ship that you were saved on. The Catan.
How do you spell that?
Jeatur. The Jeter. Jeter.
I am a cartographer, and I did come in on a ship, the Jatar merchant ship.
And were you present with Senator Byros? That was the senator's name.
Yeah. He commissioned a map from me, so I saw him briefly and spoke to him briefly.
Then we have the right person. We request that you accompany us back to the castle.
Now?
Yes, Lord Venetarus wishes to speak with you.
Okay, just speaking to me?
He has questions.
Okay. I can go now. I will have on me my regular traveling clothes. I'm not going to wear the my armor. And I'll have a dagger. Everyone carries one to eat with, so that's all I'll be taking. Oh, and a few coins deep in a pocket.
All right, not a problem at all. Raj, where are you heading to?
So going to look for, going back to the Tabaxi den.
Yes. My, if it isn't our trader in Alexandrite, says Dacia as you walk in.
Hello, my good friend. Long time no see.
A very long time no see. I thought you were coming back in 2 days, and yet now it has been several days.
Yes, I do apologize. I nearly lost my life in the process. So it took me longer than I expected.
Extreme trading. I like that. I didn't realize gem cutting was such a dangerous profession.
Well, sometimes I take on some side work as well to fund my enterprises.
Dacia turns and looks at her fellow Tabaxi, and she looks back at you. She's got the standard jewelry, which is these wonderful earrings which lead from the ear across to the nose and then usually across to the other ear, which jangle about as she looks from him back to you. Well, it just so happens that we have your Alexandrite safe and sound.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And how much was it costing?
Remember, the deal was that we would be your local supplier from Pythios to your father's operations, yes?
Of course, yes.
She holds out 4 stones, Alexandrite stones. They seem to be in good order. This will do for your supply to your father.
This will be excellent to show to my father that I have found a source. And once I return to him, then we can formalize our trading agreements.
She has a gem cutter monocle or eyepiece that she's currently wearing, and she takes that out to look you straight in the eye, and then she says, and she puts it back and she takes it off. Why are you disguised?
Why when I first entered this city, there was an incident where I may have upset some dangerous criminals. And I believe they wish to take my life.
This is most unfortunate. If we could be of assistance, we would be happy to help. Who did you wrong? Maybe we know someone who knows someone who knows someone.
What was that person's name? I do not remember.
Well, I'm sure they will tell you just before they skin you, eh?
Hopefully, yes. But it is not my concern. If I need help, I will definitely return to my own countrymen.
I don't judge. Right, so you have your stones. You return to Vashti this evening, tomorrow. When are you bound back for your hometown?
Within a day or two, once I can secure passage by a ship.
That, my friend, is going to be problematic. Have you not heard?
No, what is the news?
There is some kind of disruption happening out in the Arum Sea. No ships are allowed to sail in or out of harbor.
Oh.
I had assumed you would take caravan to the south of the continent first and then try and get ship to Vashti.
That is still happening. I myself was shipwrecked not so long ago because of a incident at sea. Has there been any news of the cause of the incidents?
You. Have you? And she leans forward and her tail rises slightly. Have you upset anyone who's in charge of the city?
That is a possibility.
Would you be arrested if you were presented to, say, a sheriff or a guard of the town?
I do not believe so. I have not committed any crimes.
Then, my friend, how would you like to be given 500 gold pieces?
What would I be required to do?
Come with me to the castle. That's all.
Very well. Very well. I can do
but
that.
Just to be clear, you were disrupted by whatever is happening out in the Arum Sea?
Yes, I was a survivor of a ship that was attacked by quite a large beast with tentacles.
That is... Okay, Ketri, you are looking after the store. I am going right now. Come, my friend, let us go. Please, let us go. You will tell the story. It's true. It's true. It is true what you are saying, yes?
Oh, yes, it is always true. Yes.
Even if they were to use a circle of truth, it would still be true?
Of course.
Already we are making great profits, Raj. Great profits, she says as she leads you out of the store. Deimos and Shifty, you have procured for yourselves hats. You were assured by the shopkeeper that the foppish hat is in vogue at the moment and is most definitely considered adorable by members of, by anyone that you might want to woo, gentlemen. Foppish is in style.
Sorry, I
I
just have to
pause
look.
to stop Shifty from asking what woo means, so I don't have to explain it in the shop.
Sorry, what did you say?
Just, I'll tell you what wooing is in a minute.
Okay. Okay, I won't ask you until we are out.
Do you like the hat, though? Do I look good? Is it a good hat?
Yeah, you
Hangy
look fairy. You look nice and dashing.
See,
Good.
grade A hat. That definitely adorable. Yeah. Where do you two head once you? You were looking for the Cartographers Guild, were you not?
Hmm?
Yeah.
Absolutely. After buying your hats of joy, you ask various people, and you're directed through various passageways and through alleyways and down main streets, and you get to a 5-sided quad that has an open market at night. Great big lanterns filled with some kind of glowing rock light the streets. So it's actually quite spectacular, this entire area. Very, very romantic, one might say. And the two of you in your hats, of course, are causing a few eyes to turn as you pass wearing such voguish hats, until eventually you arrive at the great doors to the Cartographers Guild, and you are approaching quite quickly when Murin is exiting with 2 city guards on either side.
Oh, I'm Mirren. Hi. We found you.
Oh, excuse me, gentlemen. It might be wise to question these two gentlemen also regarding the matter.
Turn on my heel. I pick Shifty up like we're going to start running. Just
I
out of
start-
habit. Just probably
It's all
not.
right, boys. It's
I
all
start
right.
typing in very, very.
It's all right.
Our Lord just wants to have a word with you, sirs. If you were involved with the vessel that recently came into port.
Oh, with the tentacle thing? Yeah, we'll talk about that.
It wasn't us though.
Obviously.
Very well then, sirs, if you would make your way with us then.
All right.
Okay. While we follow them, I bow down. Am I walking next to Demos, or am I riding his shoulders again?
It's up to you. If you want to be walking, you can be walking. I'll pick you up if you want me to pick you up.
While I walk next to him, I look up. So, what's this wooing you were talking about?
Oh, when people like you guys mate, right?
Yeah, sure. We mate, and then the female goes to a beach and lays eggs into the sand, and then we wait until the young ones make it back to the sea. And
Yeah, it's kind of similar.
some of them ride back on turtles. That's how you recognize future druids.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool. I like that. We just like with humanoids, a lot of the time it's you go a place together, then you talk, and then if you say a good thing, and then they're happy, then you get to do it again, and you keep doing that, and eventually you pair for life, like a life mate, like we had in my tribe. But sometimes people don't do that, and that's also fine.
The guard turns to you, Mirren. Are you sure these two were involved in the sea battle?
Yes, they were crew on the Robin's Fall. That is the ship that was involved in the incident.
Right.
The terror from the deep sunk it.
Yeah.
Keep
Big
your
shark.
voice down. Keep your voice down. There might be people listening. We don't know exactly what was going on there, do we? Don't need to cause a panic. All right, let's get to this castle quickly.
The terror from the deep sunk
Stop
it.
saying that. Thank you very much. Crikey, sailors, you can't take them anywhere.
Shifty,
Yes.
time time to wait, be asked a question.
But
Just go with it. We'll be out of here soon, I hope.
Eventually, the four of you find yourselves gathered in a single room. It is a very large room. There is a very large fireplace, and there are very expensive tapestries hanging on the walls depicting various Utherian battles, all of them successful, of course. A very thick hand-woven carpet imported from some exotic kingdom that none of you have been to. And the guards have shown you in. When you arrived at the main gate to the castle, Raj, Dacia spoke to the guards very hurriedly, and you can see actually opened up a piece of paper that she had in her pocket, showed it to the guard, and then he nodded and he accompanied you in here. At the door to the room, Dacia looks at you and says, "Just remember, I get my share of whatever you get paid, huh?"
Yes, of course. We are business partners. Yes.
"I love you, Raj," she says as she backs away, leaving you to enter into the room where you then find these three individuals. Just to refresh our memories very quickly, Deimos, what do you look like from Roger's perspective?
First off, I love that Tabaxi woman. I don't trust her at all, but she's now my favorite character. He stands 6'8". He's a half giant, so he's a Goliath. So he has kind of alabaster, slightly bluish white skin, bald, but he's wearing a very fancy hat. It looks quite attractive on him. It's adorable, one might say. He is red bearded, and his eyes look essentially like mercury. His eyes are almost pure silver. Normal sclera, just the iris.
Mm. So that's the giant that walks into the room. Shifty, little description for Raj of what you look like?
Shifty looks, 2'9", which is in European standards, 84 centimeters. He's basically an Acer blue kobold, so basically some weird mix between a crocodile and a human,
But
and
blue.
then shrinked. And I'm also I'm wearing some rags, most of them from some seafaring origin. Some sort of leather armor beneath that, and a hat with a feather, which is almost larger than me now.
So the giant and
So basically, it's a foppish hat with two blue legs beneath it.
and then Murin is standing there, of course, already. You got there pretty much before everybody else, Murin. What does Raj see when he sees you?
Well, the first thing he sees is the amazing silver blonde hair. It's hanging down in a loose braid, and the eyes are violet. And she's obviously an elf, slender and just casually waiting for the meeting. Very casual, but also with a good posture because she's in a important place. So she's on her best behavior.
There you go. There you go. And just for everybody, remind us what Raj looks like so they can see who's walking into the room.
Raj is a black furred tabaxi, also fairly tall, probably about 6.5 feet tall. He's wearing fairly fancy clothes with some black leather underneath, and although at the moment he's also wearing robes of an acolyte of the Temple of Death.
Yes. A black cat wearing the robes of the Temple of Death has just walked into the room. Yes, exactly right. The doors have barely been closed by the guards when another door that is to the side, a very ornate door, very beautiful surroundings of the door, opens up. Yes, Shifty?
Sorry, that was the door I was coming back.
That's all right.
As someone from a Seabold tribe who hasn't been to the land that much yet, do I recognize his robes?
Probably not. You don't see necessarily that he's the Circle of Death.
Okay, I tug at Deimos' leg. Am I not supposed to ask him whether I can pet him?
No, don't ask him to pet. No. If they offer, that's fine. It's all about consent. I'm going to teach you about that.
I look at Raj and just tilt my head curiously.
Through the ornate door steps a rather rotund individual. He is not going to starve to death anytime soon. And he nods at all of you. He appears to be from the Circle of Logic, as his robes have the infinity symbol broidered on them. He waddles forward, looks at all of you, looks at you, Raj, and his eyebrows anyway, which are quite thick, bushy, blonde affairs, rise up, and he nods in your general direction, as you assume members of the circles do to one another. You guess. Do you reciprocate in any way?
Just nod my head.
He waddles forward. Lord Venetarus has asked me to inscribe a circle of truth amongst this chamber. It is only fair that I inform you that once you are within the circle, you will be compelled to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. Should you object to this matter, his lordship thanks you for your time and bids you farewell. Do you all agree to the terms?
I have no objection.
Where's trust come to?
It's all about trust, isn't it? And making sure that we're all trustworthy. So is that consent?
Yes, I have no problem.
Excellent.
I'll consent, yeah.
That just
You do?
leaves...
Yeah, I was just talking about the ship. They're not asking about anything else.
Do you have any intention of lying?
Okay. No, of course not.
Was that a lie?
Maybe.
I think you'll be fine, he says as he slowly starts to circle out the room, incanting, bringing forth the powers of the circle, and eventually the entire room lights up with this energy that lingers for a moment and then it disappears. The inscription is complete. You should now be compelled to tell the truth.
May we have chairs to sit on?
Yes, of course. They'll be brought in. He turns and he leaves the same door that he came in on. A few moments later, several young scribes or aides or pages or servants, I'm not entirely sure what they are, come rushing in. 2 young women and 2 young men bringing chairs with them. The one puts down the chair next to you, Shifty, and looks at you and goes, "They were telling the truth. You really are a short little bugger, aren't you? Well, I'm glad we had the child's chair available." Why did I just say that? Did I just say... Oh, I'm awfully sorry, sir. Please don't report me, master. I bet you the little bastard's going to report me. Those kind of skate... I've got to stop talking right now.
I've considered killing you 4 times as you've been speaking both those sentences. I'm still considering it.
I'm absolutely terrified right now and wish I could leave. I am going to leave. She puts the...
Don't you worry. I'm not gonna eat you alive. And if I was eating you alive, I'd eat you alive.
And it would take you quite a long time, actually. Okay, I'm leaving now. The rest of all of the servants scuttle out. And it's not long. A few moments later, in strides this very, very attractive woman. She must be in her late 50s or so. She has this very black hair, but it's shot through with streaks of grey. She holds herself with incredible poise, and she sits at one of the chairs that has been appointed. She gives you all a nod. She doesn't say who she is. A few moments later, Senator Byros, that you three know from the ship, comes drifting in with his bulldog expression and nods at all of you and takes a seat. And then finally, the last two wander in as a very haggard-looking man. He has quite sharp features, human. He looks at all of you. He turns to the guard, who is right at the back of the room. You couldn't find any others? The guard shakes his head. These were the only ones that were willing to come forward, sir. Very well. Lady and gentlemen, I appreciate you coming here at this late hour. I am Lord Venetarus. I am responsible for the running of our little city here. My good friend, Lord Byros, was recently involved in a rather unfortunate situation where the vessel that he was on was attacked by a rather unsavoury creature whilst attempting to ascertain the nature of that creature. I believe the three of you were aboard that vessel.
Yeah, actually
Yes, I
it was
was.
attacked by
You were.
2 unsavory creatures.
That's true. There was the shark first.
Well, we'll get into the particulars in a little bit. Now, you, my tabaxi friend, he says, looking to you, Raj, I believe that you were on another vessel that was attacked earlier this month by a sea creature of considerable size. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. We were off of the east coast of your continent, traveling towards the near the lighthouse thing. I'm sorry, I am not a sea traveler. I do not know the terms very well.
That would be Aramosicala.
Yes, that is correct. That is correct.
You are the cartographer, I take it. You understand the naval area, the nautical terms and so forth. He says, turning to you, Mirren.
Yes, I do. Thank you.
So that means that 2 separate incidents took place at approximately the same location. That's what we can infer from your testimony. Were you also attacked by a shark and then tentacles?
I did not see the shark, only the tentacles. There was another ship that we saw that was investigating this incident, and as we tried to get away, we were attacked as well, and I was the sole survivor of this attack.
I see. Yes, Seabold.
My name's Shifty. Hi. Listen, the terror from the deeps. I think you call it a kraken. Kraken? Is that the word?
Lord Byros chimes in. It hasn't yet been confirmed as to the exact nature of the creature, but that is a good supposition, yes.
Yeah, it was bleeding heavily.
It was wounded.
Terribly
badly.
wounded.
It was leaking.
I did manage to do some damage to it when I was attacked. I don't know how long the wound lasted, but I wasn't able to harm it.
That's interesting. I put it to you that of your crew from the Robin's Fall, was that the name of your ship?
Yes, it was.
Of your crew of the Robin's Fall, only 12 survived. Is that correct?
So we did get.
Yeah, there were 10 of us in our boat. I didn't see how many were in the captain's boat. There were 2 other boats. I don't know what happened to them.
He looks at Lord Byros. Yes, it was the captain and myself in the other lifeboat. The third one seems to have been lost en route to being rescued, I'm afraid. So you're telling me, he says, looking back to the 4 of you, that of the 12 individuals who survived, the 3 of you, the captain of that vessel, Visick, the senator, you are the only ones who survived, and of your vessel, you are the only one to have survived. I would put it to you that all shipping to and from Pythios has effectively been ended because of this incident that is occurring in the Aurum Sea. And I do wonder, since you have all survived this particular beast's wrath once, whether you would be willing to survive it again.
Senator, do you have the map I made for you?
Senator Byros nods. Yes, I have already supplied it to his lordship here, in the hopes that it might assist us.
If you could bring it out, I can explain a little more.
He nods. One of the pages disappears, running off to go and fetch it. As the Lord of Pythios, it is my responsibility for ensuring that this city continues its operations as normal. And to be perfectly honest with you, not being able to do any shipping is definitely not operations as normal. Considering that you know where this creature lurks, and you have had experience in combating it and dealing significant damage to it by the sounds of things, I am willing to fund an expedition under your control to go and find this creature and put it out of its misery. I would be willing to pay you a reward to the sum of... And you see his eyes glazing over for a little bit as he looks down at the glowing floor. I would be willing to pay you 10,000 gold pieces each if you were to bring me the head of whatever it is causing my shipping lanes to be closed.
I lean down to Shifty. That's a lot of goods and services we can get for that.
So lots of hats.
Anything, more than just hats. You can get shiny things. You can get weapons. It's good.
Before I answer, Demas, I have a question, Guy.
Yes.
My druid order is mostly praying to the deep blue sea, but also to Dardan.
That's correct. The ancient god of Dardan.
What's Dardan's point of view on Krakens?
Give me a religion check.
Of course. 1 second. That would be 19.
You believe that Dardan, being a terrifically large, giant, powerful, all-seeing creature of the ocean, as long as you go after this creature in a fair fight, then that's fine. That's part of nature. That's part of the cycles of life. Is if it defeats you, it will consume you. If you defeat it, you will consume it. And thus nature is satisfied. And if you don't consume it, there are thousands of other individuals who will. So If you were, however, to go hunting kraken to harvest them so that you could sell them for a profit, and you basically just killing them because you want to not survive off them but profit off of them, then Dardan would have a problem with that.
And that kraken pretty much killing of innocent sailors.
Dardan doesn't care as long as they get eaten and cycled back. The sailors are in the kraken's territory. Why should the kraken not defend its territory if it's defending its territory? If it's just randomly killing, then it's violating the same rules. If it doesn't kill to eat, then it's not doing it in the right way.
That's going to be a big snack.
I'll help you with it.
Sure, feel free to do it.
Tell me, Lord Venetarus, how much can you pay us in advance for this task?
I would be willing to outfit you with a sailing ship and crew, and whatever supplies you feel might be necessary.
And any coin in advance?
If you agree to take on this task, do any of you have any intentions whatsoever of not fulfilling your duty?
If it puts Shifty in danger, yes.
I want to give this information out before we all decide on taking this task. I just await the map so I can point out the dangers that I saw and noted on the map.
Excuse me.
Yes?
Mirren, you have mentioned that tower with the light and big cat person. You've mentioned that light tower. Shouldn't we investigate that one by land where the terror of the deep doesn't bother us?
Well, I want to explain what I drew on the map before we make a decision, Shifty.
I'm sorry. I'm not sorry, but
Don't be sorry for asking a question.
All right, he brings up the map.
So as you can see, we traveled down from Gyptos, and I didn't draw that part. I just drew this area. While approaching the site, which is right here, where the Robin's Fall is marked, the site is approximately 150 miles due east of Aramosi-Kala. And it was noted that the sea lacked any sea creature activity on our approach. So once we arrived about 100 yards south of the site of the wreck, a purple-stained whirlpool was sighted below the water's surface. And you can see the whirlpool marked there with that swirling blue. At this moment, a lightning-finned shark landed on the deck of the Robin's Fall. Now, I noticed a light coming from Aramosi-Kala. I was watching it because I had to take a bearing, and it flashed once, and then it shone a steady light onto the Robin's Fall. And you can see the red mark is what I've projected as the light. Now, we were ordered to the boats before anything happened. The captain ordered us to the boats, and then the purple kraken appeared and put its tentacle down on the ship and destroyed it. Now, in a 2-mile circle of the site, there was sensed a strong presence of a fiendish being and a less strong presence of a celestial being or beings. Now, the seagulls report that a wealth of flotsam on the beach after the eruptions of the whirlpool.
Thank you for that very complete report. This, I assume, well, to be fair, and he looks at everybody else, this has been corroborated by Captain Visick himself. He will not be participating in this journey owing to the fact that he claims he will never return to the oceans again for as long as he may live, and is contemplating going to become a Sherpa on a mountain climbing expedition.
From my analysis of the map, I can see that perhaps shipping closer to the coast is possible. It seems that the bodies of wrecked ships and dead crew and fish and whatever seem to sweep up on the shore, as the seagulls confirm, but can't always trust what a seagull says. So I'd say as long as you stay away from that area, I think you'll be fine. Closer to the coast, I believe, would be okay. I have no proof of this, but from this analysis, it looks like there's something to do with that light at Aramosikala.
Far be it for me to say any much more on the matter. I haven't been out that way. I will tell you this, however, my lady elf, that sailors are particularly suspicious individuals, and when bodies of other sailors start bumping up against the sides of their ships, inland or in deeper sea, they're not particularly happy folk. The offer stands: solve whatever is causing this issue at this whirlpool. We're calling it Robin's Fall now, I suppose, the vortex or whatever it is. Solve it, and I'll give you 10,000 gold pieces each.
I haven't heard Raj's story.
Well, first of all, my lord, in answer to your question, I am a businessman. If it is a good deal, my word is my bond. And this sounds like a very interesting business proposition to me. As far as my story, well, all I can tell you is that we were traveling past Aramosikala. We saw the creature attack another ship, and then it attacked my own ship. I washed up on the beach near a monastery who told me, I am from the circle of life myself, but they were of the circle of death, and they had very interest in me in being a part of some sort of prophecy, and I was to investigate this to see if there was some truth behind it.
You're not talking about the prophecy that there's been a man around for the last few days from the Circle of Life, I believe, claiming that he knows why these attacks are happening. And I would be interested now to release him.
Probably,
you know him?
yes, that would be my companion that is waiting for me in the city.
He's actually in our dungeon at the moment.
Why is that?
Quite a friend there.
We'll be back next week when you find out why Zilla's in prison. And thank you all for playing. Our hour and a half is up. I appreciate that. You guys gave me a run for my money, but we all eventually got to where we needed to get to. Foppish hats and all. So
Got my hat accomplished. Mission done.
thank you all for playing. We'll be back next week, same time, same place, all of the usual stuff. So I do appreciate that. Since this is your first time playing, the three of you, you can now all go and take a break, have something to drink, relax, and do not watch the next half hour of the live show, if you please, as it will contain spoilers. So if you want to stay around with me, in 5 minutes time I'm going to carry on. I will talk to you about what happened in today's session, what I was planning, what actually occurred, and how we did or did not get there. So stick around for that, but it does contain spoilers. Anyway, until we come back in 5 minutes, and I must remember to set the clock going this time round so I don't forget it last time. Where the hell's the clock, he said. Anyway, I'll be back, hopefully, shortly. And hopefully we'll see some of you around. Until then, however, lost the clock. Lost the plot. Might as well just go home. Just go home. You know what? Anyway, I'll see you all in 5 minutes. Bye, everybody else. I'm coming back just because I saw that comment. Prank me and tell me there's no audio. Please don't do that. You know I'll have a freaking heart attack and break everything. So, but anyway, yeah. All right, folks. So it was an interesting one. I know I stopped the clock early, so I'm not going to talk too much just yet. I'll give people time to come back. It was an interesting one. Did you see the 4 different playing styles? This is what I love about role playing, is that we had 4 very different playing styles, and I must say it's going to be an interesting challenge. It's going to be an interesting challenge. Lance Pickett, if you do that, I will ban you myself, because I won't be able to read anything. All right. So so I'm just waiting for everyone to get back, and then we'll get back. What Laura Bones? We need more emotes. What emotes? Don't don't you shout at me, young lady. I don't want to be shouted at. Thank you very much. Don't need to be shouted at. So emotes. Oh, I'll make more. It's been great. Do you know? That book has taken a lot of time for Martin to work on and for me to not work on. No, it has. It's not. Anyway, so it's good to see you all here. What do you mean by the word stakes? Examples of it and failure is an option. Thank you for your time. Wait, what? What do you mean by the word stakes? Examples of it and failure is an option. Thank you for your time. I'm not sure. Stampster, can you elaborate a little bit on that, if you please? So. Right, let's jump straight into it. So we've got the 4 different 4 different gamer types really coming through there, I think. And it's going to be interesting to see. It is going to be interesting to see what comes of that. So the Murin character, the Wood Elf character, she is a very meticulous role player. So she takes lots of notes. That means someone like me who's seeding a lot of stuff, I have to take as many notes as well, because otherwise she's going to remember stuff that I have forgotten. So that's going to keep me on my toes. But it also means that the party is never going to really forget about what happened. She's making all these notes, she's making all these records and things. That's a really, really powerful type of player. The challenge that we're going to have is in terms of moving things forward with the meticulous note takers, with those who like to really copy stuff down. Sometimes they're more interested in the data analysis than actual action, which I don't think Murin has too much of a problem of. She was quite set. She's going to the Cartographer's Guild. There is that. And yeah, so I think that's okay. Shifty, the player, is there to have an absolute blast and doing a wonderful job of it. I think really digging into the character and the race, I should say, and the racial lore that's going with that. I think that the player who created Shifty actually created another aquatic race when the Nautical Campaigns book came out, which were lovely little tentacled sort of squid-like race thing. They were super cool. Asked if he could play a Seabold, and I went, yes, okay, let's see where this goes. So yeah, so there we've got a player who's all about the race and immersion and that kind of culture and that sort of thing. That's absolutely awesome. He's asking questions. Well, would my race have this? Dardan, we worked in the backstory. Dardan is like this giant sea beast that the Seabolds worship. They don't believe in the circles. They believe in Dardan, who ultimately is just part of the circle of nature. And so that's where they kind of get their stuff from. And yeah, so So that's him, and then we've got the Demos, who is all about the party, and that's what I really like. All of his descriptions, it's about making sure that Shifty was safe, or that Shifty was there, and then when Shifty was saying things, it was all about then driving and reinforcing and supporting Shifty. So that's a really good kind of character to have in your party, the supporter type character. And hopefully that will extend eventually to support for Murin as well as support for Raj. Raj, we couldn't really get to see how he's going to handle the new group interactions just yet. But in time, hopefully that will happen. So what was my plan? What was my plan for today's session? It was a very straightforward plan. I needed to get them together. Last week we played the session 0 with just the 3 players. Brian wasn't there for that one. It didn't make sense for him to be there. He was never going to get involved. He was on land and they were out at sea. And because we have this prophecy that is hanging over Raj's head and arguably could run throughout the rest of the campaign, I needed to get the other player characters to buy in on that prophecy in some shape, form or another. And so my plan was, well, I'm going to get them to be fulfilling the same prophecy. And if we remember the opening lines of that prophecy, if I just bring up my notes very quickly. Here we go. The opening lines are, when the jewel of the southern shore, that we've now established as the lighthouse of Aramasikala, lured by the light of the star, again it's that light, washes upon sands afar. They've now got references from their seagull companions. I love that description from the seagulls. They speak with animals, and the seagulls told them about all sorts of dead things washing up on the beach. Will open life's very maw. And all of that links to them going back to that vortex and finding this creature at the center of it and killing it, opening life's maw, that kind of thing. So that's what I had in my head. I was like, okay, cool. When I was doing the session 0 with them, I had them, again, pretty much go through exactly what Raj did, was have them attacked by the giant kraken. So we established the giant kraken as being this big nemesis thing, but it was heavily wounded, which means that if they go back quickly, they might be able to defeat it. And that's how I would play it, by the way. In my head, it's going to be a mega battle. Now, I haven't actually plotted out the rest of this adventure. I just know that they need to go to the kraken and they need to sort it out. I'm glad that I didn't, because I think Murin is going to get them to go to the lighthouse first. And arguably, the lighthouse is definitely the focal point at the moment, which is fine. They can go to the lighthouse, they can discover something cool, something that gives them an advantage versus this kraken. As I'm speaking it to you now, I'm going, well, this is how the adventure runs. They get to the lighthouse, they fight whatever's in the lighthouse. There's some information that they get there, and then it's off they go to the kraken, where they then will fight the kraken with advantage. They'll have a ship, they'll be able to use their ship stuff, and then they go back to port and they can do whatever they like. The fact that I'm giving them 10,000 gold pieces, I really don't care. I mean, they can have 40,000 gold pieces between them. If they want to try and buy magical items, it's going to become an adventure. If they want to buy land, why not? If they want to keep the ship, why not? It's all just going to be super, super focused, super strong for our story going forward. So by having them all invested then in the prophecy, that then means that when Raj says, well, we can go to Delphini to find out more about this prophecy, then the rest of the party is invested in that. So that's what I've been trying to do, is look for a link. Now, to give you an idea, in session 0, Murin was very much a case of, she was doing her cartography thing, and Shifty and Deimos were doing their partnership thing. And so that's why when we started this session, they were splitting off and going in different directions. My goal has been to try and bring them together and get them to mesh and go from there. So I think that's what we're going to achieve in this particular case. Was I surprised by anything that happened in today's session? No, not particularly. I did the usual, make sure that they're aware that the city is full of dangerous and nasty people. I seeded it enough that the ships can't go sailing, that the sailors are all around, so there's lots of crime and violence and that sort of thing. Brought in the rumors that someone is hunting Raj for what he did last time, when he allowed for the Lord who had killed people to not be broken out of prison, I should say. So all in all, I knew this was going to be a relatively slow session, trying to bring people together. I had, as far as I could see it, 2 options. I could either have them all requested to attend to the Lord, or the other option that I was going to have was that they're going to all have dreams, weird sort of Laura Bones inspired dreams of lots of tentacles. And that was going to bring them together. But I felt that was going to take too long and wasn't necessarily the right approach to take. I was like, well, if they've got dreams and that means they've been infected, or there needs to be something there. But yes, in the end I thought, no, rather let's reward them. Let's dangle a giant carrot in front of them and see whether they respond to it or not, because I think that could certainly work, and it seems to have done so. They seem to be on the right track. So yeah, there we are. It's going to be an interesting one moving forward, I must admit. But again, that's why a one-on-one is so different from a group play, because now the group is in play, and they're going to go where the group goes, hopefully, and we'll see what comes of that. So there we are. I see a few people are asking questions that are about other bits and pieces that we reserve for the show on Saturday night at 7 p.m. GMT. So please join us for that. Sorry, I just blanked out for a moment. I just misread the time. So please join me for that live sessions with the GM on the same YouTube channel, on the same Twitch channel, 7 p.m. GMT. And then you can ask all of your questions that relate to other RPGs and stuff. This is just a recap of the live show that I've just done, the live role-playing for an hour and a half. And it's to ask questions about that specific show. So I see Helton Matiazi has asked a question. Let's see, Grizzles. Oh wait, hang on a moment. That might actually be the one. I'll answer Grizzles' question. I'm coming back to that one. I saw there were some other questions as well that weren't linked directly to this. So let me just move this down here. So there we are. Okay, Grizzle says, wasn't part of the long-term plan having one of the great nature beasts killed off? Yes, so in the grand campaign idea, there is a giant nature beast that will be killed off, but that's much, much later. And remember that nature beast is a sort of a conglomerate of Mother Nature fighting back. So this one is more of we're going to get the party together, we're going to give them resources so that they can do what they want to do, and kind of principally get them a ship. So then they can sail where they want to sail, and they can get to Definii quite quickly. Because I don't really want to roleplay the whole group of them taking a very long journey to get to Definii. We don't need to take that long, and this solves the money things, because I see this adventure as being far more entertaining and far more interesting once the players have got resources with which to then do stuff. And this was something that I learned quite early on, is there is a certain joy of players not having any resources and slowly working up until they do. But that usually has usually takes place in a very contained space. I like to run campaigns where the characters are free to wander almost all over the globe and not really have to worry about money and that sort of thing. I'm always, not always, but I'm most of the time, 90% of the time, about running a big game, an epic campaign. I actually had a player once say, I don't know how to run small, intimate games. I don't really. I mean, I can do a one shot, but I like to be able to take over the world. I mean, that's why, that's one of the reasons why I play. So yes, Grizzles, it would be an interesting one to have linked into that, but it's too soon. It's way too soon. This adventure that we're heading into now. We've now seeded the fact that there is this evil person collecting an artifact. At the end of this one, they will discover that the Orb of Life, which raised this undead beast, has been stolen as well. And it was actually stolen first, and if they go back to the Monastery of Life, where Raj first encountered it, they will learn that orb has been stolen. And it was stolen before he arrived, as a matter of fact, and that's why that beast was raised in the first place. So then they will start to go, well, hang on a moment, that's the second orb that's been stolen. So I think that is where the story will pick up on. Okay. Captain Prices says, please, in bold, run over or through your game shelf. I'm very interested in what you have and what you recommend. Very interested in the Rising Sun game. Seen it around in the games shops here. Well, it's not really anything to do with this particular session. So, but I don't see any other questions specifically related to to this stuff. So it looks like the rest of it is more for somewhere else. Anyway, yeah, I see we've got a bot in Twitch. I'm too lazy to go there. Just ignore it. So the games that I have on my shelf. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry, Grizzles has got a more interesting question. You mentioned the great beast the Seabolds worship was a nature beast. Thought that may be the one killed off. Now you're talking my language, Grizzles. So yes, we worked out that the Seabolds in this world worship Dardan, who is this giant aquatic monster beast thing. It would be very interesting if in that particular campaign adventure, that Shifty would have to kill Dardan. I think that would be a very interesting journey to go on. I'm going to probably incorporate that. I quite like that idea. I think that's a pretty cool one. Stampster says, are the 3 new people going to stick till the end of the campaign? I think they will. They all seem very, very enthusiastic, which I thought was awesome. We shall see. They certainly have said that they will. If they drop out, we'll decide where to go from there. But yes, so yeah. Okay, so there we go. Is Ethereos on World Anvil as a viewable world? You ask me these technical questions. I want to say yes. I want to say no. I want to say I don't know. If I post the link, you can tell me. Well, we don't have any. Do we have any followers? I don't think there's any followers. It was part of. It must have been because it was. We have 10 followers, so it has to be. So there's the link for World Anvil. Some of you asked the question, where is this based? So I have maps from the. I used Wonderdraft for the world map and for the continental maps. And then I used Waterbow for the city maps, and then Dungeon Fog for the battle maps, which we didn't use today. And then World Anvil is housing everything. So all of the maps are on World Anvil. Some of the stuff, by the way, is junk in there. I need to actually go in and clean it up. So, and most of it's just badly written notes. And there's some stuff that has nothing to do with anything, so just bear that in mind too. Yes, but there we go. You can see what's going on. I don't know why there's a weird map in there. So yeah, okay, all right. So there you go. We're almost out of time, so Captain Priceless, I will humour you on your question. Board games that I like to play are usually board games that involve a fair amount of role-playing. So there was a wonderful board game that I think was wonderful anyway, called Spartacus. And Spartacus came out just as the TV show was in its coming towards the end of its first season. And it's the tale of Spartacus, the slave who defied Rome. Not a lot of people know that he was caught in the end. He was betrayed by pirates, caught and crucified on was it Appian's Way, however you want to pronounce that. Anyway, he was crucified and made an example of. So very sad story. And so anyway, the board game follows the first series. Now, it's the first board game that I've ever had that has an age restriction of 18 plus on it. Because what's interesting about it is that they use Roman swearing, Roman curses, as something that you can actually do in the game to your fellow players. Anyway, I'm not here to promote the board game because you can't buy it anymore. It's out of stock and it costs a ridiculous amount of money to get a hold of copies these days. So I like board games where you can stab your opponent in the face and smile at them whilst you do so. So those are the kind of board games I like to play because that gives you role-playing opportunities, right? You're playing the villain, and then the rest of your players get to play the heroes, and so it's a lot of fun. So Rising Sun is done by the same game designer who did Spartacus, as well as the same production company. I haven't played it. I haven't even read the rules for it. But it has beautiful miniatures. I'm telling you a lie. Ha! Rising Sun was not made by the same people who made Spartacus. Rising Sun was made by the same people who made Blood Rage. Now, Blood Rage is a Viking worker placement game, which is absolutely amazingly awesome. Spartacus and Blood Rage are my top 2 board games of all time. I absolutely love playing them. They are violent, they are underhanded, they are sneaky, they are backstabbing, they are front stabbing, they're just a whole bunch of violence, and it's awesome. And so Rising Sun is by the same guys who did Blood Rage, and I really like the miniatures that came with it. I was rebuilding my board game collection having moved here to the UK, because my intentions in February were to get a board gaming group together who could then play board games with me. And then COVID happened, and now we're into the next phase of COVID, where it's no more than 6 shall gather here, which is actually fine, because we don't actually get more than 6 people to play any of those games anyway. So, but yes, basically those are the big ones. Then you've got Firefly, the board game based on the TV series, which was awesome. I bought the board game for Firefly, played it once, and gave the board game to a friend of mine because I hated it. Then they released an expansion for the board game, which allowed you to rob your fellow Firefly captains, and then I bought my own copy again. Bless me. So that's a lot of fun. Firefly is a board game that's a lot of fun. And then Star Trek Ascendancy. Star Trek Ascendancy is inspired by a computer game from 1996 called Star Trek Birth of the Federation. Star Trek Ascendancy is a lot of fun. It's multiplayer. You can play it single player. It's it's a very complex. No, it's not complex. It's a simple board game, but there's lots of strategy involved in that sort of thing. So there's that. And then Rock, Paper, Wizard, Dungeons and Dragons, Wizards of the Coast board game, Rock, Paper, Wizard. Absolutely ridiculous board game. If you ever need a board game to get, Rock, Paper, Wizard from Wizards of the Coast. It's just awesome. Really fun little light game. And that's about it. And then we've got Carcassonne, of course. Carcassonne, that staple. I wanted to buy Carcassonne when I got here. This is game logic for you. Well, this is consumer logic, right? So the big box of Carcassonne, which gives you everything, costs £140, which is about $180, somewhere around there. The big box of Carcassonne in Italian costs £34. And you go, wait, why is there a difference? What's the difference? The tiles don't have anything written on them. The only difference is the rules. The rules are written in Italian as opposed to in English. And you can download the rules for free from their actual website. So it's not like you're, ducking and diving. You can literally just download the rules from their website. And so you go, okay, well, my tiles are Italian, so they make good pizza. But it's the same guy. Anyway, it doesn't make sense to my head, but that's what it is. And then there are a couple of little ones, but not as many as I would like. So, and I do like games where there's lots of underhandedness and backstabbing and convincing your opponent to do this or to do that. Someone said, Ben Nichols, what do you like playing, Monopoly or Scrabble? Monopoly I'm very bad at because it's about keeping money, and usually I'm about building up, brothels and drug cartels and that sort of thing. And then people go, but that's not in the game rules. And you're like, have you been to my train stations recently? Yeah, I might not be making very much on electricity or on water, but those train stations are pumping, let me tell you. And Scrabble is Scrabble. I mean, it's spelling. You can't really be too aggressive in Scrabble. At least I could never find a way, which is probably why I didn't really enjoy it too much. So there you are. All right, folks. So, that's it. We've gone over time. Me waxing and wandering lyrical about stuff. So, yeah. So you are more a Shadowrun guy, says Dirk Krishka. I've never played Shadowrun. I've heard a lot about Shadowrun, and I've heard that it's complicated, or it's not complicated, or it's got this, or it's got that, and it's got the next thing. It's like, well, it would be interesting to see. But for me, just looking at the Dark Eye, for example, the new RPG that I'm reviewing, And people say, oh, the law, the setting, and you go, well, yes, the setting is important, absolutely. But you make the setting, and you make the setting come alive or not. And so the setting for me is fairly irrelevant. I mean, another board game which, if I can ever find again, I will buy, I really would, is Battlestar Galactica, the board game. Now, it was very successful. They had 2 expansions for it. And I had it in South Africa, but I couldn't bring it with me to Japan. So I sold it off. And in that game, one of you potentially could be a traitor. And halfway through the game, you all discover whether you are a traitor or not, because you don't know going into the game. You all think you're humans. And you're about trying to survive and make sure the ship doesn't run out of food or water or, all that kind of wonderful stuff. And you can have a player who becomes the traitor, but because they are a timid person, they don't do what a traitor would do. They just sort of let things happen. And then the game is complete and utter rubbish. But sometimes you get a person who's a traitor. Everyone always assumes I'm the traitor. I don't know why, but anyway. When you get somebody who is a good traitor and knows that it's all a game and it's about having fun and it's about making the setting come alive, then that is when the system and the setting comes alive. So whether you're playing Shadowrun or Dark Eye or whatever, it's all about that wonderful, that's about the combination of those things. And that for me is a lot of fun. So Dragon, you say I should try diplomacy. The problem is that most people, I'm not tactical in the slightest. I am the worst general ever. When I play games like StarCraft or Company of Heroes and that sort of thing, I only win because I literally just wear the computer down by just sending masses of troops to die and just talking it to death. So games like Diplomacy, where you actually have to be tactical as well as manipulative verbally, so there is that. Cyberstorm, you say that there is Battlestar Galactica board game on Etsy right now for $25. Is it a big box that's sort of greyish? Because then I might ask you for that link. I really enjoyed that game. I really enjoyed Battlestar Galactica. Anyway. All right, folks. Resistance is fun. Ultraviolet 007. Resistance is absolutely fun. I do agree with you. I'll never forget. Was it Resistance or was it Coup? I'm not sure exactly. Anyway, one of them, Resistance, I think, where you are trying to resist against a government and there's a spy and that sort of thing. I'll never forget those kind of games. We had a player once, and one of them, it's, all right, everybody close your eyes, and the 2 people who are the traitors, open your eyes so you can identify who is the traitor. And once you've identified that you are who your partner is, you can then close your eyes, and then we all open our eyes so no one knows who the traitors are. And I will never forget, we were playing with this one girl. She was lovely. She's a great role player as well. And everybody closed their eyes, and I was leading, so I said, all right, everyone open. Well, if you are a traitor, open your eyes. And so you wait quietly. And after a while, I went, all right, have the traitors identified each other? And she involuntarily went, yes. And we said, okay, well, thanks for that game. That was a lot of fun. Let's try again, shall we? But that's what you love. I mean, that's absolutely awesome. So, Captain Price's, I have tried Settlers of Catan and Star Trek Catan, and I absolutely hate Catan. I really, really hate Catan. It's because you can't get violent against your opponent. Ticket to Ride is similar, but a little bit more open in terms of your aggressiveness towards your fellow players. I don't like passive games. That's why with Firefly, you can play that game and never interact with your fellow players. You are literally all just there playing on your own. And it's like, well, what's the point? We can do this without having to worry about getting over to each other's houses and that sort of thing. I also like games where there isn't just one way to win, where you can approach it from multiple angles. So that's why I love Spartacus. Spartacus, you can manipulate your way. Grizzles, it's not so much stabby. It's more a case of if Settlers of Catan, and I'm talking about the base game here, not 50,000 expansions, but if you had a base game where you had the option of saying, okay, cool, I'm going to build the longest trade route, or I'm going to secure the most territory by landmass, or I'm going to have the most peasants. You know, if you had multiple solutions to winning, it would allow for the game to end up where you're not stuck going, well, I can't expand, you're going to win, and there's nothing I can do about it. Whereas something like Ascension, Star Trek Ascension, or Ascendancy, which is Catan-like in a sense, you're expanding out to planets, you're getting resources back. There is a component where you can take planets back. But again, they don't just have the violent option. There is also, you can go in and convince them that your culture is better. So then they switch to your side. So I like games where there's lots of different things. Ultraviolence 007 says Blood Rage is good for multiple ways to win. Absolutely, Blood Rage is brilliant for that sort of thing. It really is. So, yeah, it is a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. And I must admit that, you know, I think that's probably one of the biggest things that I miss about the moving from South Africa is I had a bunch of gamers. They were my role-playing group, but they were also my board game group. And they knew never to trust anything that I said, except that they also knew that everything that I said was true for a particular angle of true, but they would never know what angle it was from. They enjoyed it because they're like, I'm not going to listen to you because you are evil, but I know that what you're saying does make sense in some twisted and evil way. And I don't know why I derive joy from that. But when I play with new people, often they kind of, they get warned, you know, don't trust anything that he says because everything he says is true. And that to me is the gaming the game. And I really like, but I'm a GM. I mean, I think once you're a GM, you're a GM and you're going to do it forever. So yeah. Ultraviolence, Violence 007, picked up Blood Rage at UK Games Expo. Absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome. Did you attend the virtual con of UK Games Expo this year? I thought there were some interesting panels on that one. Some conventions coming. I know, what am I doing? Anyway, folks, it's been awesome chatting to you. I'm just going off on a while. I've never been concerned about my sanity. My sanity is safely in a box somewhere at the bottom of the ocean, and I don't have access to it because I wouldn't know what to do with it even if I got it. Yeah, there we go. Now I have to go and face burnt dinner. I hate food. It's so boring. And then you burn it and then you got to... Oh, anyway, that's a whole different life crisis. We've had a couple of those these days. Anyway, if you are using RPG Table Finder, had some very interesting meetings this morning, and that's going in a new direction. Well, it's carrying on in the same direction, but it's expanding, which could be quite fun. So, yes. Anyway, there you go. Folks, thank you for staying. Thank you for chatting. Thank you for sharing. I think that's awesome. I really do appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed tonight's role-playing. And we'll see you... some of you get to watch what you watched yesterday or Tuesday again this Friday for the next episode of Great GM. And then we'll see you again on Saturday for live sessions with a GM. Until then, however, I wish you and yours, of course, the very happiest of gaming.